Hello everyone, in this video we'll be discussing about the latest release in Power BI, which is a button slicer that will change the look and feel of your report completely. From its latest November update, Power BI has released a button slicer which is very easy to use and very fast when compared with the old slicer. It looks like the development team has heard each and everybody's feedback and implemented on this new slicer, which will be completely replacing the traditional slicer that we were using like tile and the chiclet slicer. I have generated a public link by publishing it to web. You can also navigate, you can also interact with this report so that you can explore like how this new button is working, and also you can follow along the demonstration to understand more on how to implement this. Let us jump on to the demonstration of this new Power BI button slicer. Before we begin with that, I wanted to show you the dataset that I'm going to use it. So basically I'm going to create a sample report where I'm going to add this movie posters, movie images into my new slicer. Okay, for that I'm picking up this IMDB top 250 sample dataset. So basically we have this top list of 250 movies which I've got it from this IMDB website. So here we have movie title, which is 250 movie titles, and the year of those movies, rating, reviews, which is a number, and then we have genre, duration, storyline, and the main column, which is movie poster. This particular URL is basically where we have the image of that particular movie. Okay, so we have all the URLs for all these 250 movies. Now I'm going to use this data set and I'm going to pick up this movie poster column into my new slicer. Okay, so let us begin with getting the data, the very first step. So let us select that Excel file and import that Excel file into our Power BI desktop. I'm going to click on transform data after selecting the table 1. Since the data is formatted as a table on the Excel sheet, I'm able to see as a table 1. I'm going to click on transform data. I'm going to quickly skim through the columns so that to make sure all these columns are in a right data type. Okay, so I'm going to change this year as a text to make sure we are not summing it up. Okay, so by default the aggregation would be sum. I'm just changing it to text to make sure. Mostly we will be using the year as a dimension for slicing, duration, storyline. I think everything is fine. I'm going to just rename this table name as a good practice, IMDB top 250 movies. Close and apply. So I'm going to just quickly build a template before I bring in this new slicer. I'm just going to change the background color to some different color so that I can start working on. So I'm going to add a new text box so that I can add a title over there, or else I can keep it at the position for the title. I can just have some background for it to make sure we have something on the darker side, and the title goes here. Just differentiate between them. So I'm going to add another text box so that I can just have title IMDB top 250 movies. I'm just going to make it bold, increase, change the color of the font, increase the size to somewhere 28 and make it small, and I'm going to change the background, just move it here. Now we have a good title in place. So now I'm going to pick up our new slicer. So I've just added the new slicer. I'm going to add movie title as my field because I wanted to see all the movie titles coming up in my new slicer. Okay, as you can see here, we're getting this in this format. Okay, I'm going to keep it a little big so that I have good enough space for having that. So I'm going to do this image now. So I'm going to bring in this image. So if you go to the properties of the slicer, we have got new properties. When you compare it with the old slicer, we've got a lot of properties here. So I'm going to directly jump into the main property, which is images, where I can drag and drop the field which has the image URL, which is nothing but the movie poster. So I'm going to add this here. As soon as I add it, you can see how beautifully the images have come in. Okay, so I'm going to just do a bit of more formatting. So basically here in the settings we have a bit of more formattings. For example, we can change the default setting, maybe the saturation to something on the lower side, so that it's not that elevated. Okay, only when it is hovered or selected, you can make sure the saturation is on the full side. So even on the hover, you can make sure the saturation is on the 100% in the press, because I'm going to just change this default slicer settings to a single select and the force selection, so that every time one slicer will be selected. So you can see whenever I select that slicer, that color is elevated and the rest of all other colors are not elevated that much. Okay, so these properties will help us keep good elevation on the image. And I'm going to change some other properties. Maybe I could say buttons. I could add a bit of shadows for each button, you can see, and the shadows I can make sure those are white, provided I can change the background, right? I think let me just go back to these general properties, change the background to something on the grayer side. Okay, or maybe on this gray side, right? So that have the white is elevated. I can go to the darker side also, it gives you more flexibility. And also I'm just making sure I'll go back to the slicer button properties and see glow. Okay, and the glow is in different color. Maybe I'll change it to white color so that you have the white glow coming up. And what I can add this accent bar on there's a line coming up on the left side. You can also make sure it is on the white side so that everything is much on the brighter side. Okay, so yeah, I can play around with the properties. I'm not going into too deep, so you can just make sure you change the border size, transparency, or you can increase the width, right? You can just change the transparency, color of the border, right? Or else you can keep it another color to make sure highlighting it with the rest of the report. Okay, so yeah, I mean, you can also change it to something on the golden color, darker side. Yeah, so we can play around with that. I'm just changing the final one, which is the movie title, to the center and make it list of movie, and maybe I will change the font to the white and bold, and yeah, can keep it that way. I think I'm good with this. Now I'm going to add a bit of information on the right side to make sure we have some meaningful information coming up here. So I'm going to add a card which will pick up the storyline. Okay, and again I'm going to just make sure I'm going to change the size here to something on 28 or 24, make it smaller. I'm just going to do a bit of formatting here. Just going to change the background color to something on the darker side. Okay, I'm going to change the font to white color. Okay, and the same with the label font to white color. Instead of white color, I can change it to something on the IMDB color, right, that we generally can see. It's dark yellow, some golden color that we have in the IMDB website. So I'm going to keep this as font. So yeah, I think I can go back and change the name to storyline, right? I can just keep it that way, and I can just do a bit of small formatting stuff like some effects. Can just add some borders, some shadows which are white in color. Okay. So that it has some elevation. In fact, I can also change the rounded corners to 15 so that you have some rounded corners showing up there. You can do the same thing with this slicer on the general properties. So you can just add that 15 so that you have the borders coming up, and make sure the borders are elevated by adding a white color. Okay. I'm going to just copy paste this card to add some of the information like genre. Put genre in there. I'm going to paste some more information, maybe the rating, right? People might be interested in this, right? And yeah, what all we need, I'm going to add something interesting information here in the middle. Star rating. Okay, I'm going to create a formula. There's a formula ready with me. Star rating. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new measure, which is star rating, right? And I'm going to use this function called rept. It basically repeats the text that you are putting here, the number of times that you give the number. Basically, I'm getting the number from this reviews column that we have, which is basically 8.2, 9.2, the rating reviews, right? You got that number here. So I'm going to round it off to either 8 or 9. Okay, so I'll just make sure I get the right table in place. Yeah, so this will round off, this will give you a number 8 or 9. So basically it will repeat as many times as much. That's all. The star, the emoji that I've given there. So you can just add that here and you can see the magic. You see the stars are coming up. You can see the stars. Let's say if you have the 12 Angry Man has got basically 9 rating, you can see the rating changing, right? So yeah, right. So this way we can play around with different things here. I'm going to add some more information to just make sure this is done. Okay, this is year of release, whatever it is. So this way we can create some beautiful reports. So let me know how you are liking this new slicer. So far I've really liked this new slicer, which is so helpful. So let us catch in the next video. If you are interested in videos like this, please subscribe to my channel so that I can make more videos like this. You can also download this report PBX file in the below description link. Thank you so much for watching, guys.